in Indian cities, not just in metros, but also in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. What's really happening is that we're witnessing this defining shift as the organized retail bets are now on scale. Talking about all this and a lot more are going to be our visionary leaders joining us here. This segment is going to be moderated by someone absolutely spectacular, and who better than him to weave it all together. Please do put your hands together as I welcome Mr. Rajesh, Jain, Managing Director and CEO, Lacoste. And as I look forward to having you here on this wonderful stage, may I present to you our esteemed panelists. Please do welcome Mr. Abhishek Bansal, Executive Director, Pacific Malls. Once again, not just a very renowned industry leader, but someone whose voice today makes a difference and matters. Let's welcome Mr. Shibu Phillips, Director, Shopping Malls, LuLu Group India. You all know the kind of effect that he's having on the industry, so let's welcome him with a round of applause. Thank you for being here. May I present to you Mr. Harsh Bansal, co-founder, Unity Group. Being a part of this spectacular segment, we're so very privileged to welcome Mr. Bansal here on stage with a warm applause. May I present to you Mr. Jatin Goel, Executive Director, Omaxe Limited. Once again, our young and dynamic leader, and somebody who today believes in creating the right kind of pace. So I think he's the perfect combination when we talk about someone who's continuing a legacy, but also bringing new years to the format. So that's for you, Mr. Goel, and let's look forward to this very, very interesting session. All yours.
Thank you, Isha. Good morning, friends. Good morning. That's good. So we should have an interactive session instead of only a one-side monologue. Is that okay? Great. So we are talking about a smaller town. So first of all, welcome all of you to this inaugural session of MAPIC India Shopping Center Summit and Awards 2026. And welcome to 5 million square feet movement. This is a conversation that will capture the defining shift that is happening in India for retail evolution. All of you would agree that in the past few decades, India's organized retail was largely led by the metros, but not anymore. Now a new wave of transformation is unfolding in those not so big metros. We all are witnessing a structural shift where some of the tier 2 and tier 3 towns, not all of them, but most of them, they are making a structural change in the consuming pattern, in the consumer behaviors. It is also happening that the institutional investments, the infrastructure development, the interest of global and Indian brands, they're converging at one place and they're converging at a scale. These tier 2 and tier 3 cities, as we keep hearing, that these are emerging markets, but they're not. They're not emerging markets anymore. They're infrastructure ready. They're digitally connected and they're brand aware. And because of that, these developers are bringing that scale, that development to those tier 2 and tier 3 cities also. So if we see today what we will learn that what is happening in these not so big metros. We will see that what is that strategic decision that is driving investments into those tier 2 and tier 3 cities. We will see that how these cities are transforming the city landscape, the skyline of the cities. We will see that how retail is growing and will grow in the next decade in these tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So today we have 4 gentlemen, 4 visionaries, 4 trailblazing leaders who are collectively building more than 5 million square feet in these tier 2 and tier 3 cities that will shape up the retail industry in the next 1 decade or so. They are bringing together institutional capital, infrastructure development. They're also bringing all the global and Indian brands together, which will help not only the malls and those brands, but it will perhaps drive the urban civilization, urban growth in those tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So without taking much more time, let's delve directly into it. And let me start asking the question from Mr. Harsh Bansal. Harji, thank you very much. First question to you. When you enter this tier 2 and tier 3 cities, how is it different when you take a decision to enter these cities? How is it different from metros in terms of, let's say, yield and risk? And there's one more question attached to it. When you enter these cities in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, not so big metros, are there any operational efficiencies that become more critical in these cities as compared to metros? So if you could please throw some light on these two questions.
Good morning, and thank you, Rajesh ji, for such a wonderful introduction. One shop for Lacoste is confirmed in our next upcoming mall in the prime location. So this kind
Thank you very much.
And that too on PRS actually. So, so हमें भी तो मौका मिला ना आपको थोड़ा सा तारीफ करने के लिए. So thank you very much, and a warm welcome to everyone. It's a good platform to meet fellow developers and you can say retailers. Otherwise, it's very tough to meet people in the day-to-day business. Thanks MAPIC for arranging such type of event regularly. And really, I learn a lot. I meet a lot of people here. So coming to your question, first of all, India is transforming. Everywhere world is fighting and India is making money, India is growing, India is, you can say we are so lucky in this part of the world. And transforming India now, the turn is towards Bharat, and Bharat really lives in tier 1, tier 2 cities, and tier 3 also. So the development in tier 2 city, and you can say catering to tier 3 also in tier 2 city is a different ball game. We started this development in around 5 years back when we developed one mall in Mohali, CP67. That time we were very much afraid that tier 2 city, the CAM will be very big issue, the, you can say international brand will be a big issue. So conservatively we started with 400,000 square feet of retail. And you will be very happy to know that the response in Mohali is sometimes much better than the malls in Delhi. So people are very excited there, they are tech savvy, they know, you can say they have more times to visit malls, they celebrate their all happiness celebrations, and the small celebrations like Lodis and you can say Bashakis, they all celebrate in malls. So that's a great, you can say, opportunity. And sometimes retailers, when they meet us, they ask space in CP67 before they ask in Vegas. So that's a big compliment actually. That's why we decided to go for another mall in Mohali. That's 1 million square feet now, the new mall. So opportunities are great. There are a lot of, you can say, scope is there. The trade density is almost similar to Delhi, maybe 10-20% lower than Delhi, but you can say footfall is there, spending is there, and brands are doing almost equal, you can say, business than to the metros. Operational efficiency, you are right that earlier we were thinking that in the tier 2, open mall and covered mall both should be the thinking. That's true that you can develop open mall and covered mall type of mall in tier 2, but it's not true. We converted CP67 into a full covered mall, and there is no problem at all. Operational efficiency, the parking, you can say you need less parking than to the big cities. Connectivity is a key, you can say, deciding factor. When you develop a mall in tier 2, people come from tier 3 frequently there, like Mohali. The visitors from Ludhiana, Jalandhar, Amritsar is more frequent, and they need good connectivity. They need, you can say, good, less time to visit. And thanks to government now, all the roads, all the connectivity is very, very good. Now we are listening that Delhi to Dehradun will be 2 hours and Delhi to Jammu in 6 hours and like that. So connectivity is playing a big role now in tier 2 city, and really it's a great time to develop retail mall in tier 2, and all retailers, they have great opportunity now in tier 2. Thank you.
So are you coming with another mall within Mohali, another apart from CP67?
Yes, we are very happy with the response of CP67. Now we are coming with 1 million square feet of retail in Mohali, another mall.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yes. And that brings me to you, Abhishek. You are a strong player on large format retails in several North India cities. Now, Archie said that there is a little bit of skepticism, they're apprehensive when they enter a new city. But what convinces you to open a 1 million square feet mall in a tier 2 city? Do you think that there is already a demand there, or you are building ahead of the curve like he did? In case of CP67, he was a little skeptical, but he still opened it, and demand perhaps was there latent demand, but that got it came out well. So in your case, do you think the demand is already there, or you're building ahead of its curve?
Hi, good morning, everyone. So, Rajesh, I think honestly, it's a bit of both. The demand is already there, and I can tell you from my 15 years of experience of operating shopping centers in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. We operate in more than 5 tier 2 cities, be it Dehradun, Faridabad, Ghaziabad, now Jaipur, moving to furthermore cities. So we've realized that you have to be a little bit ahead of the curve. You can't be blindly ahead of the curve, but you have to read the demand. And a decade ago, we didn't have enough data also. Now we have a lot of data that one can study and see how the city is behaving, what are the consumption patterns, how the brands are behaving, what level of brands are doing what numbers. So a lot of that data is also helping us. The other thing is that I don't think now consumption is linked to income. The consumption is linked to exposure. The consumption is linked to accessibility rather than just your income. People will now spend on plastic money as well, as long as they have access to a good retail environment. Now that is from the consumer perspective. And secondly, from a brand's perspective, I don't think the brands had enough good retail environments in these smaller tier 2 or tier 3 cities, wherein a brand like Lacoste could have opened, because you would want good neighbors with you. You would want a correct retail environment with you, where you would want a proper management. Now, when we start offering all of that, that is what enables and creates a bouquet of like-minded brands, which people in tier 2 or tier 3 cities aspire to shop at, spend time at. The disposable incomes are there. So all of those things coming together, of course, you have to be a little ahead of the curve, not blindly ahead, but I think that cities are ready to be able to do that. A couple of things that we make sure that while we are entering a new city that we kind of look for is, what is the retail penetration today in that city, and what is the competition that is being created in that city from a retail offering perspective, and what is the city's infrastructure? How's the airport looking? Is the airport going to come anytime soon in the city, or is there an operational airport? How is it connected via Delhi? How are the highways? Accessibility from smaller towns to that large tier 2 center that we want to build, because in tier 2 cities, you don't really depend on just your primary catchment of those 2 or 3 million people in that particular city, but an extended catchment of over 5 million people in the extended catchment, the secondary catchment or the tertiary catchment. So for example, if I'm doing a center in Jaipur, I know that my customer is also going to come from Ajmer, which is maybe 1.5 or 2 hours away. Does Ajmer and Jaipur connect well? Yes, they do connect well, so it's a checkbox. So I think all of these 3-4 things put together is really what enables us to take a decision to do such a large center. And in a tier 2 city, a center of this size cannot just be a shopping center, but it has to become a social center where people are not just consuming, but spending time. And they have to have that connect as their own kind of a town hall for their city. And once they accept you like that, then sky's the limit.
That's interesting. When you said that earning is not as important, of course it is important, but not as important. Even if people don't have money, they have aspirations, so they would maybe spend through plastic money so that they can.
That's one, or they may buy 2 less polos, but buy 1 Lacoste polo.
Oh, wonderful! That sounds music to my ears. Okay, so let me now come to you, Shibu, and I will build upon what Harshji and Abhishek said. And they also talked about the consumer front and not only the developer's perspective. I'm sure that a lot of retailers sitting here would like to understand more about the consumers. So when you talk about these tier 2 cities, and you are there in several tier 2 cities now, what is the category or what are the anchors who are driving this repeat footfall or who are driving this growth? Is it essentials? Is it entertainment, fashion, F&B? What is it that is driving growth and bringing people again and again to the malls?
Good morning to everyone who's here. Thank you very much, MAPIC, for this opportunity. Thank you, Rajesh ji, for the lovely introduction. We were worried that you're talking about us or anyone else. I can't offer you a store like what Sir said, but obviously we will discuss. But obviously, as developers, the first thing we have to do is create a habit. And if you create the habit, and then the relevance of your mall is always there. And like the way Rajesh ji asked, what is important? See, hypermarket is important because these are essentials. Shopping mall, the anchors are important because they will become the pull factor, but that's not enough. Fashion is important because that creates a desire for consumers to buy that. Because of this, the currently what commerce, e-commerce has done and what travel has done, the desire is there within every consumer in the country because every fashion is known to the entire world in one click, and it is nothing is known to the tier 3 customer. So fashion brand creates desires. But what is more important is entertainment, because entertainment creates the fact that I will come back. And what is the most important is F&B, because F&B creates the dwell time in your mall. And today, in any shopping mall, the latest study by JLL is saying that every shopping mall in the country is giving 25% of its space for F&B. F&B, to the fact that they're curating the cuisines. Today, developers are investing in brands in F&B space to curate it for your space, because what is happening is the known, I have nothing against the known MNC brands, the known fast food culture, they don't create. There are cuisines which create. And I was talking to my colleagues in Mumbai, and there are cuisines which people go and have that, they book and go. So there are Michelin star chefs who are creating these cuisines. Gagandeep is a known Michelin star chef who's creating cuisine. There's a big brand in Mumbai which is doing this. So these are differentiators which are reasons, sir. So it is important. Hypermarket has its space, anchor space has its space, the entertainment has its space, and the F&B has its space. So when you do a mall in tier 3 city or tier 2 city, you need to have a combo of all of it. You need to create a large cultural gathering space. People in tier 2 and tier 3 city, it becomes an experience zone. It becomes a destination where people talk about, they're proud about that destination. They talk about that as an infrastructure. When they talk in the world, when they talk with relevance, they will take your name in their journey in the social media. So that becomes relevance. For that you need to have, and when we built it, when we design it, you really need to keep those angles into space, into the mind. The big fact which as developers we need to have is, all the customers in tier 2 come to a shopping mall for one reason, but they should find 3 reasons, and if they can find the other 3 reasons in your mall, you have no problem. If they're not, if your mall is just a transactional shopping mall, then you have a big problem. And many malls in this country today, other than the top 50, have this problem. They're just a transactional mall. You can't have a transactional mall and you cannot be successful. You need to have an experiential mall. And if they come for one reason and they find 3 more reasons, then you are successful.
Amazing. So you said that it's not one category or one anchor that's driving it. Has to be a bouquet of all the categories, so beautifully designed, so beautifully curated. And on the top of it, you have to also make it not a transactional mall, but experience zone, so that people come and you're able to offer them more than what they bargained for. That's an amazing thought, and no wonder why all these gentlemen sitting here have such successful malls. With the thought behind it, the experience that you guys are creating is amazing. And with that, taking a cue from your talks, Shibu, I would like to move to Jatin. Jatin, Shibu also talked about experience, and experience is becoming the rule of the day. The design of the mall has to be experiential. The new Gen Z, they also love to have their experience. So is there anything in your malls that you're creating in these not big metros where the experience is something which is non-negotiable in design? Is there something specific that you do there? Or in general, the mall should do there?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you, MAPIC, for calling us over here for this lovely conversation. I think last half an hour has been a masterclass for me as well, from all three stalwarts over here to hear about experience and how we should go about running our business in retail and developing properties. It's been a long journey for us at Omaxe. It's been 38 years, and primarily in the earlier half of these 38 years, we've been dominantly a residential player. And we have developed till date close to about 140 million square feet of spaces. And I would say that's around 70% of it is residential. And primarily comes from a tier 2 expansion that happened immediately after our IPO in 2007. So ever since then, we've been very, very observant about the audiences that we've been serving, the kind of residents we've been serving, their behavior patterns, their aspirations, what kind of category they belong to, what kind of expenditure they are belong to, and very carefully have then expanded into our retail portfolio along all of these tier 2 cities, be it in Chandigarh, be it in Ludhiana, be it in Lucknow, be it in Allahabad, be it in Vrindavan. So a lot of different factors have come into play at a very macro level. So of course, now tier 2 cities, everybody is looking at the potential of these cities. India is growing. The infrastructure has given a huge, huge push that earlier what used to take maybe 8 hours, 6 hours to reach from Delhi now is taking 2 hours. So of course, everybody is looking to, travel a lot more. And the people who are living in Delhi probably are not experiencing the best of their times, are again reverse migrations helping and going back to their hometowns and working from there. So a lot more disposable income has actually gotten into the hands of the residents of these cities. And they're looking to have aspirations greater than tier 1 cities because everybody is traveling around the world. Everybody is seen. Instagram, social media has brought everybody on the phone. So everybody can really enjoy and experience all of those things, and they would really want something, a piece of that right in their neighborhood. So experience definitely matters a lot in all of our developments that we do. As Shibu rightly mentioned, that F&B has been a great driver in the last 5 to 6 years, I believe, from initially would be around a 10% portfolio to now going as high as 35% portfolio in all developments. They are taking a major, major stake into it. And why? Because it brings in the repeat customers. Today, people are meeting a lot more often. The social gatherings have increased post-COVID. So everybody wants to know what is that new place that you want to go to? Is there a new restaurant that has opened up, a new cuisine that has opened up? We are bored of sitting at home and eating the same dal and rice. So everybody wants to experience new culinary experiences, and that's why people are traveling as well. So everybody says that, did you go to Tokyo? Oh yes, I did. And what did you do over there? Acha, I was at this Michelin restaurant. So everybody wants to experience that, but being in their own country. So that is where I think the factor of aspiration comes in. And that is what we see in the F&B. So what we are doing is, when we design our developments, we keep a lot of flexibility in place. We try to make sure that there are larger floor plates. There are places which are probably right now retail can be converted into F&B later on. A lot of those factors need to be very well established day one itself, because all these developments are actually living beings. They keep transforming with spaces. And as developers, it is our job to keep a very, very flexible space environment and not be rigid with it. Secondly, we don't just create one product, we create multiple products with it. It has to be a mix of retail, entertainment, hospitality, offices. So there's an audience which is coming in every day at offices and hospitality. And retail is again a byproduct of that. So they feed off each other. So what we're doing right now in Dwarka in Delhi, it's a 50-acre site. So we're making a hotel over there, 40,000-seater stadium over there, an indoor stadium, a sports facility, a high street bazaar, and a mall. So it's a mix of a lot of products together which are going to feed off on each other's crowd and will create a complete universe, how we see in the Marvel world, that you watch one movie and the multiverse is taking all the other movies combined together. So that is something we're trying to build as well in our retail experiences. And starting from Dwarka, it has been, I think, coming out really well with our thematic, and we'll be very, very happy to sort of deliver it within a couple of years. And I think spiritual tourism also has been helping quite a lot, because when we are developing properties in Vrindavan, in Prayagraj, we see a lot of potential, especially towards this particular theme. So I think our fellow developers have definitely seen the potential of tier 2 cities, and I would invite them, and we should create like an industry towards this as well. And we can definitely ideate and serve to give a lot more experiences which are more Indian, which are more local, which the world can look up to and see that this is the experience that actually values, and they should go back and deliver that. So the power is in the local.
That's amazing. I was talking about just the experiential zone within the mall, and you're going beyond that. You're creating a mall within the experience zone. It's not the experience zone with the mall, but the other way around. That's amazing. Harji, I would like to come back to you, and I would like to take up that topic which I know is very close to your heart, because whenever we talk outside, you always talk about the infrastructure that is getting developed, the highways, the airports, although Abhishek touched upon that, Shibu also touched upon that. In your, when you see, you have such large format malls outside the metro cities also, and you're creating some more malls. When you go to these cities, these infrastructure development for airports, highway, etc., do they make a serious difference in your decision that you would like to go to those cities where all these infrastructure is already there, or you would like to go there and maybe wait or have the parallel working done on these things by the governments?
Certainly, infrastructure plays a very, very big role. Few years back, when we were traveling to US or Europe countries, they were saying that it's 400 miles away, it will take 4 hours. We were very surprised of those times. In India, 400 miles means maybe 7-8 hours or so. Maybe you can't even reach by evening. So infrastructure is playing a big role. I know one statement by Mr. Nitin Gadkari, our Honorable Minister, that our connectivity will be so good that I will make the Indigo ideal. You can say there is no need of any flight. Connectivity is playing a big role. I will give you one example. We just got one mall in, one development in Dwarka, Sector 22, and we were, you can say, exploring this land from the last many years, but we were not so confident about that. Recently what happened, infrastructure turned the entire story. Yashobhumi is there. It's a big convention center. Lots of people are coming across the globe now to Yashobhumi, and that's lots of visitors we are getting. Then Dwarka Expressway is playing a big role in connecting all the Gurgaon sectors to, you can say, Delhi. Then recently one UER2 announced. UER2 is just, you can say, entering or starting from that spot. So UER2 is now connecting Rohtak in 1 hour, Sonipat in 40 minutes, maybe Panipat in 1 hour, maybe more and more tier 3 cities from that location. And one more, the airport is very near to that. And then you have big tunnel connecting to South Delhi, Vasant Kunj or Vasant Vihar.
So are you saying that even people from, or the customers from Panipat, Sonipat, etc., also travel down to your place? It's not the one-way traffic?
Of course, why not? They are already
traveling.
traveling.
To shop and enjoy the mall environment there?
They are already traveling. They are maybe traveling once in a month. By the good connectivity, they may be traveling once in a week. So that suddenly, you can say, add to the footfall or to the visitors coming from the tier 2, tier 3 cities.
And so even in a place like Mohali, etc., do you think that people from surrounding areas would also travel down to that place?
Of course, Mohali, like Abhishek rightly said, the connectivity from the tier 3 cities plays a big role in tier 2. Like the Mohali, we just added one more, we are just adding one more mall, which is near to the airport. So people coming from Ludhiana, coming from Amritsar, Jalandhar, it takes around 45 minutes to reach to Mohali, maybe 1 hour. So in Delhi, if you are traveling to Pitampura to, you can say, Vasant Kunj, that may take 1.5 hours. But customer from Ludhiana and Jalandhar may visit Mohali in less time. So connectivity plays a big role. And you can say if you have good site which is connected to all the neighboring tier 2 cities, that certainly helps us. Even in Delhi, I gave you example of Delhi. So Delhi, if you are developing a mall at Sector 22, connectivity will certainly play a big role. It will be a regional center then.
That's really interesting to know that how these infrastructure and mall developments, they're interdependent actually. So if there is a mall, there has to be some infrastructure and vice versa also. That's an amazing thing, and
Otherwise, Rajesh, Dwarka cannot afford 3-4 malls.
that's
So
true.
otherwise, we would earlier planning for 500,000 square feet development only. Now with good connectivity, we converted that into a 1 million square feet retail.
That's amazing. And when we talk about the interconnectivity, people traveling from other cities to that, Abhishek, you have taken a different route. I keep hearing a lot about your Jaipur mall that is coming, where you have done a lot of localization. So do you think this cultural localization is important in building these new malls? Because I keep hearing so many good things about this Jaipur mall, where you've created beautiful colors like like a pink city. So does that play an important part?
I think it's very critical because when you're building something of that size, you're not building a retail infrastructure, but you're building a social infrastructure. You can't think of it as just a place where people will come to shop. People will come to spend time there. You're building a shopping center, you're building a hotel, you're building offices, you're building nightclubs. So it's a lot of things coming together. So you can't just call it one retail development. It's a large social infrastructure. So it's absolutely critical that you gel with how the city talks and how the city behaves. I'll give you a small example. Our mall in Dehradun is called Pacific, the spirit of Dehradun. We want the people to connect to my mall. My second mall, Mall of Dehradun, is called the Pride of Uttarakhand. I want the local people to connect with my mall. The biggest festival that we have in Uttarakhand is very close to as large as Diwali is the Uttarakhand Divas. And we celebrate it with much fervor. So connecting to the local audience is extremely important. And from there, of course, is how we design our tenant mix, what are the kind of brands we get, how are we designing our F&B offering, tasting local palette में हम कितना उसको घुस रहे हैं उसके अंदर, international brands को हम कितना ला पा रहे हैं उसके अंदर, what kind of entertainment we are offering, what kind of services we are offering. So another thing is tier 2 towns we see is a more family oriented shopping environment. People come in larger groups, unlike metros or larger cities. So people with 4, 5, 6 people will come together. Sometimes just the grandparents and the grandkids are coming together. So the design of the mall and the spaces have to also be thought through with those things in mind. So it's extremely critical that you gel with the city and the environment of the city.
Amazing, Abhishek. Actually, when you were talking about the pride of Dehradun, etc., and the connectivity, I was feeling the same connectivity, the pride that if something happens in my city, wherever I come from, and if I have a mall which connects with me socially also, culturally also, and then it also makes me feel proud, that's an amazing thought. I'm already feeling connected to your malls.
Because you're not going to service that customer for one time. You are going to service him when he's in college, when he gets married, when the couple comes in for their children shopping, and then their children. So you have to create that connect over generations. So it becomes really critical.
Thank you. And in the interest of time, I will have 2 quick questions, Shibu, one from you and then Jatin from you, so that we have some time for audience Q&A also. So when we talked about the mall, the infrastructure, the highway, the experience in malls, one important factor where Jatin also touched upon that, what I would like to understand from you that in your malls, do you think that this global exposure through travel, through media, through entertainment, the digital connectivity, in addition to that infrastructure, these things also play a role in consumers' mind when they come to tier 2 or tier 3 towns for shopping? It does happen in metros, but does it also happen in tier 2, tier 3 towns that they are actually influenced by these things?
I'll just tell you the data I saw in Myntra. They said that 45% of their fashion brand shopping was happening from tier 2 and tier 3. So that's the fact here. So your consumers are as knowledgeable or as up to date because of thanks to quick commerce and thanks to travel. They are aspirational. Now the only fact here is that they are not as maddening as the metro consumer, because they don't just put the purse on the table because they saw a brand. They are very, very value conscious to the fact that is it making sense for that. And if that is sitting in the parameter, because they understand that the rupee they spend in Zara and the rupee they spend in Zudio is having two different things. And they clearly value that value of that rupee.
And they understand that
They
differentiation.
clearly understand the rupee they spend in Zara and the rupee they spend in Zudio. So if you know that value as a retailer, then it's a game. The developer has to play very well. The developer needs to make it small aspirational, but not so aspirational that consumers don't have a connect with it. It needs to have all. See, as I told you, fashion brands are bring in the aspirational value. They bring in, because why do people travel and come to your mall? And obviously all the factors which the gentleman, Harshji mentioned and Abhishek and Jatin mentioned, connectivity has managed to bring the consumers from everywhere to your mall in a tier 3 or tier 2 mall. But when they come in, their aspirations needs to be met. So your leasing team needs to understand data. Your leasing team needs to do the job very well to bring in that right type of brand. And churn is most important in your tier 3 city. You need to keep churning to get the brands which they want. If you manage to do that very well, and if you obviously have that, if you can make them feel pride that they're coming to a mall which they think that it is their destination, and if all the experiences you put, see, we are creating a shopping mall of 1 million square feet in Ahmedabad, and I'm actually sitting on the drawing board of creating that mall now. We are understanding the pulse of everything what a consumer does in Ahmedabad, how they live their life, and you know what they spend more on, and create that system for them. And we also are understanding that that is a city which is going to host Commonwealth Games in 5 years' time, and I'm sure Olympics in some time. Think about all that opportunity, and you need to give that update to your designer who is designing and develop your mall. Then your mall will always be of relevance. So it is a lot of hard work for the developer when he thinks about, it is not just land. He first obviously have to think about, is the city having the consumers who can spend? One. Secondly, he has to look at the infrastructure, which is rightly clearly said here. Third, he has to also look that in your primary catchment alone, is there enough and more consumers who can come to you every time? See, understand something, 29% of India's discretionary income is today available to spend. And this 29% of the discretionary income, the very good fact is the top priority for spending for consumer is first on fashion, second on F&B, third is travel. So your two elements is there with you. So if you understand that consumers are ready to spend, and understand something also, that the average money in India is less, but in tier 3 city, like the gentleman said, Lamborghinis are there. There is a purse available. It's only how can you make it relevant. But they will not just be like the maddening guys of Metro, just spend on anything and everything just because they have the money to they will say what is the value.
That's a North problem. That's right. Shibu, thank you very much for such a thing. Jatin, quickly, because we don't have too much of time, last question, but the most difficult question for you, and I'll make it more difficult. You have to limit the answer in just 3 minutes because we don't have much time. How are you future-proofing your malls? Like, consumer preferences are changing, their aspirations are changing so rapidly. That's not possible to keep pace with them. But how are you future-proofing your malls? Just quick answer, because we need to have some time for the audience for Q&A, maybe about 5 minutes.
No, that's all right. It's going to be less than 3 minutes also. Don't worry about that. I think from the summary of this conversation with everybody, we clearly understand that future-proofing any retail destination, be it a mall or a high street or any kind of project, mixed-use development, requires for the design to be flexible enough to accommodate all kind of product categories. A, B, socially and culturally connect with the right audience, be it in metros or tier 2. C, having the right kind of product mix and keep working on it, keep reinventing that, keep changing it. Not just that, okay, something is working and you make it stale. So you have to reinvent your product mix at all times. And D, I would say that keep up with the Gen Alpha, Gen Zs and everybody, which is becoming the most difficult part being the youngest in the panel as well, it's coming out that way.
No, that's amazing. In fact, so it clearly comes out there is no one panacea for all else. You have to work on all the fronts together. So you continue to do all the things and continue to attract existing customers as well as new customers. Wonderful. I have so many questions in my mind to ask all of you. However, the time doesn't permit because I want to allow some time for Q&A from audience. Audience, do you have any Q&A or you would like me to continue with some more questions? Any Q&A? Can I see any raised hands here? Any question? Any question from audience? Yes, please. Can I have a mic there? Kindly just introduce your name and the company that you're representing.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I am Randhir. I'm from RX. So we have all these stalwarts on the stage. I have a question, like in terms of design thinking, how is a mall different? I mean, how is a mall in Chandigarh or Lucknow different from a mall in, let's say, Mumbai or Delhi? So
that's a nice
anyone
question.
of you can take that.
Who is it addressed to? Any particular?
Yeah, to sir.
So,
yeah.
if I want to design something for Chandigarh, and Harshji rightly mentioned this, see, what happens is you need to give space. First is that you cannot have narrow corridors. You need to have huge corridors because the population has to be serviced. Secondly, you need to have large areas for live events, and that's the most important part for Gen Z today. Secondly, you need to able to celebrate every occasion what they want to celebrate, whether it's Punjab, every festival needs to be celebrated, and your marketing team needs to ensure that every event is carried towards the whole social media thing, because every element has to have an Instagrammable, like the way the MC mentioned that we have an Instagram, please post it, and that's, you have to make it happen. You have to make culturally the schools of those places to come and celebrate their occasions in your mall. It needs to be designed in such a way, if you can, you need to have large food courts, then only you can offer cuisines. You need to have large F&B offerings. You need to have large entertainment options. Now, when I go to Mumbai, the cost is different. I will not do all this because it is more, obviously everyone doesn't have time, so the ingress egress have to be planned well. The brands will be completely curated differently. Fashion will have more options. Restaurants will be there. F&B will be there, but it will all be not large sizes. So these are things which I will put it differently in Mumbai, and Mumbai will be more vertical. Chandigarh will not be more vertical. So there will be a lot of elements which will, I think, I can look at the future of how the infrastructure is growing. I can, if there is a metro coming in, connectivity is possible, then I will do connectivity. Today in my mall, one of the malls which I operate 9 malls today, and in one of the malls today, the metro carries around 28% of the crowd to our shopping mall. So that's an opportunity available if I give an option which is there. So these are things I look at when I design a mall in a tier 3 city and a metro.
Any other question? Okay, so since there is not much time left, I will ask a quick question and I would request all 4 of you to answer that question. Let me start with Jatin. The same question from all 4 of you. When you go to a new tier 2 city or tier 3 city, what are the top influencing factor that will convince you to start looking at that city? Jatin, if you could start with this.
Right, absolutely. Location, definitely the site. Infrastructure push to that particular city. Number of government institutes that have already opened with respect to social infrastructure. You talk about healthcare, education, that becomes another factor. And I would say jobs, now the 4th factor. If these 4 are there, it takes all the boxes to take care of the rest of the things.
Wonderful. Harshji.
So these are 2, connectivity and you can say location is very, very important. Then the behavior of those people, like in Punjab, people celebrate lots of, you can say, day-to-day small celebrations also. Like in Mohali, we have one laugh store. So people try to visit regularly to this type of, you can say, events. So the culture of that particular city, the way they celebrate is also very important.
That's wonderful, Shibu.
So I will first of all look at the competition available there. What is currently available, what is there for the consumers to consume. I will look at the data from e-commerce, from all my like-minded brands to see how much is the consumption happening. And then I will look at, the what are the government creating opportunities? Because if there are a lot of plans for the government to create a info park where a lot of IT comes in, offices are coming in, then you know that employment is coming in. There is a lot of generation of this happening. And third, I will look at obviously infrastructure. Land is always something which you can't forego. The last but not least, I will also look at in my primary catchment wherever I build, what size I should build for, because I can't build overbuilt. And that is some mistake which my colleagues have done in Amritsar, Jalandhar, Nagpur. They've overbuilt. So you can't do overbuild. So I will build according to the catchment of mine. I'll do a size, but I will always create an opportunity for the second phase. And I also might do a multi-development where I build a hotel and a office space with this or a residential with this. That is also a very good way to bring ROI to my CFO, because he has to give me money to build it.
I do have a question on ROI because you talked about that large LEs, etc. But I will first ask Abhishek
So,
if time permits.
in addition to what everybody said, of course, these are very important points, but there's one thing that we also look at is the number of tourists visiting the city. Because I think the tourists' propensity to spend and the spare money that they have while they are traveling is immense. And we've seen that in Dehradun with the parents coming to pick up their children. Their disposable incomes are fantastic. So I think tourism plays a big role on retail, especially consumption.
Oh, that's very interesting. Like, so far I thought that people would normally look at the local catchment. Okay, you have a question. Please, Sandeep.
I actually don't have a question. I just wanted to add one value addition to this particular, because it's very close to my heart in terms of the business development which I do for my company.
Yeah.
So one important thing which I always focus on for this particular aspect, for decision to be made for what kind of a mall to be made in that city, is if I am sitting in the year 2015 or 16, I deeply study the 2030 master plan of that city, so that we build a mall for future.
Oh, that's amazing. That's again another insight, beautiful
because
insight that you
sometimes
look
it
at the
happens
future
because
also.
the government has a different plan and you make it something different, so then it goes haywire. For
That's
example,
amazing.
when we planned a mall in Lucknow,
Yeah.
we focused on 2025 master plan because we were envisaging in the year 2015-16 for that mall. And we started our operation during the COVID. So we envisaged basis the 2025 master plan of Uttar Pradesh government, and then we identified the actual development is going to happen in the growth corridor. So that is the right place to build up.
No wonder
And
all of you
actually everything
guys,
has
all of
happened over
you
there.
gentlemen look into it so deeply and with an eye on the future that all your malls are successful malls. Great, it's a great conversation. I have so many questions in my mind, but again, because the time is up, maybe I'll take up those questions off the stage. But thank you very much. Thanks to all of you. May we have a big round of applause for all the gentlemen here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Jain, and how very rightly mentioned, a conversation like this and speakers like y'all, I don't think we can end this conversation. Please do put your hands together for each of them. Some fantastic points came our way, and I would like to request as our moderator to please present a token of our love and appreciation to each of our wonderful speakers. May I request for the gifts, please, and once again, some spectacular thoughts shared by each of them here. As Mr. Jain thanks you all, I must appreciate how you spoke about localization, how you spoke about picking up things from the region where you are. I think the last 15 years learnings that you shared here, thank you so very much, sir, for your very kind presence and all the thoughts that you brought about. Let's also put our hands together for Mr. Bansal as we thank him, how he spoke about connectivity being a very, very important element. And of course, Jatin, a big thanks. You spoke of how today people want to explore and have a grip of things. To thank our moderator, may I please welcome Ms. Reema Punya to join us on stage and give us an opportunity to thank Mr. Jain. May I please request for a gift? No one but you could have moderated our premier session with such beauty. May I take this opportunity and thank you all for your very kind presence, and of course, Tamilano for the beautiful gifts for our speakers. Let's hear a round of applause for each of them. As we capture this beautiful moment here on stage, let me take this opportunity and